Thank you so much to eBay for sponsoring this episode of Making Moves. Whether you're searching for the latest sneaker drop, that iconic handbag, a timeless watch, or your next piece of classic jewelry, eBay authenticators are verifying every detail of your purchase. With years of experience, they're making sure the piece you're searching for is worthy of your collection. eBay's authenticators are experts in their craft, true connoisseurs, and as leaders in their fields, they're making sure your items always arrive as authentic as your style. In a world full of fakes, it's time to get real. With eBay Authenticity Guarantee, everyone deserves real. Visit ebay.com for terms. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Making Moves. I'm here today with my dear friend, Miss Ella Priya.
Hello.
Hi Ella. I'm so excited this is what I do with my friends. I convince them to come on my podcast and hang out.
I know, it's so exciting. I was like, oh great, I'm basically having lunch with TK.
Yeah.
But there's just a mic in front of us.
Exactly. Okay, Ella, for those fans out there that don't know who you are yet, give us the 411 on you.
That's honestly such a hard question these days because I'm like, I don't know who I am or what I do.
Well, where are you from?
But okay, where I'm from. So I was born in London. Mm-hmm. I grew up in Rome. And then I moved to New York for college. And I've now lived in LA for the past 3 years.
You've like the coolest story.
Yeah, it's definitely like very worldly. So yeah, I spent most of my life in Europe. And then it's kind of crazy now. This year, I will have lived in the US 10 years. Which is like as long as I lived in Rome.
So are you a dual citizen?
No, I'm in the U.S. on a visa.
Wow.
Which sucks. So,
are you trying to get citizenship here?
Yeah, I'm trying to like figure out a way. So, any like eligible single men with a green card, hit me up,
Yeah. My mom married into like, I guess being a citizen.
Oh, really?
But like for love. Yeah.
Yeah. Where's she from?
Canada.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. But it's a way to do it.
I know. No, I mean, like, I'm on, like, a work visa, and it's been fine for the past couple of years, but it's definitely getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I need something, like, that I have long-term.
Yeah.
Like, it's stressful. Like, every, like, 5 years or something, I have to, like, think about, I have to renew my visa, I have to get a new visa, or whatever it is. So it's, like...
So what's your passport right now?
I have a UK passport, British passport.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, which is also so crazy because... I was born in London, obviously, so I have a UK passport. I lived there till I was 7. And when I moved to Rome, at the time when I lived there, like, there's no point in having 2 European passports. It's like I have, like, my residency in Rome and, like, I have, like, the ID, but I didn't have an Italian passport because also the British passport was way more powerful at the time. But then because of Brexit, now I'm not even part of the EU.
Oh.
So when I go home to Rome, I literally have to go through immigration now.
No.
Yeah. It's so annoying.
That's crazy.
I know. So I actually applied for an Italian passport, I'd say over like 5 years ago now.
Oh, you did?
But Italy's just like the slowest process ever. And they literally, there's no way, I can't go online and say what point my like application is at. They just don't tell you anything. Like one day they'll send you a letter or something.
Well, manifesting that happens.
I know. I'm like, one day, hopefully I'll get it. Because
that's crazy.
Now I want it because like I want a European passport.
And you're fluent in Italian, right?
Yeah.
Wild. So you went to New York for college?
Yes. I went to Fordham in the Bronx. Mm-hmm. Shout out. I loved Fordham. And then I graduated in 2017. And then I stayed in New York for like another 3 years, and then the pandemic hit. And I got a call to come here, work here in LA, and I'd always said I wouldn't move here. I hated LA.
How'd you been?
I had been like a couple of times for work, and just in general, it never was like appealing to me. And I'm obsessed with New York. Like I love New York. So like I saw my whole future there. But then during the pandemic, it was like I was working a job and everyone got laid off because like COVID and like all the clients like pulled out. And so I was in New York in my 2-bedroom apartment with my roommate for like 2 months, basically doing nothing. And I got a call from David Dobrik, who was like, do you want to come out here and work? And I was like, I mean, there's no time like this time. Like, I had no reason to stay in New York.
Well, at least LA had the beach and we had the outdoor. Like, you can kind of escape, I guess.
Because I think if I had gotten that call and it wasn't during the pandemic and like I was like still working and like living my life in New York, I don't know if I would have done it.
Yeah.
But at that point, like so many of my close friends had left New York because everyone, went back to their house or like went to their families or like moved. So I literally didn't have anyone left, and I was so far from home, like from like Italy and London, and I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. And my roommate was moving to do a master's in like Spain, so we were both like leaving our apartment. I was like, let's do it. And like
that is crazy.
2 weeks later, I moved to LA.
You're such a risk taker.
I know. That was like definitely a big risk that I took, but obviously it worked out great.
Wow. Okay. And what did you study at Fordham?
Communications and marketing.
When you were there, what did you think you were going to do?
I always, during my experience, the reason why I also loved like studying in New York and like going to Fordham is that I had internships like all throughout college. Like starting sophomore year, I had a summer internship every year, and then I would have like in the fall, I would do an internship like part-time.
Where'd you intern?
So I always interned at ad agencies because that's what I thought I wanted to do. So like I interned at like, my first internship was at a PR company. Hated it. It was a really small PR firm. It was all women and they were all bitches. Like I was like, this is like mean girl culture.
Oh yeah.
And so I decided I didn't want to do that.
I had a shit ton of shitty internships as well.
Yeah. And like the first,
shapes you.
Yeah. And the first one was like unpaid too. And it was like as a sophomore or something.
Yeah.
And then the next one, I worked at like 2 pretty big agencies in New York, and I loved it. Like, I think my problem was I was in like account management. Like my internships were in like account, but I was always super interested in like the creative side. I just didn't have the skills. So like I would always become close to like the art directors and the creative directors because I was just so interested in what they were doing. And I didn't have like the actual skills to do that.
What do you mean the actual skills?
Like, I mean, for some like art direction creatives, like you have to know graphic design. Have to know like all
programs
the programs. And I was learning them in college, but I like wanted to learn more. But all my internships were in account. But I loved them. Like I worked on like a really cool like brands. What were the brands I worked with that I really like? I worked on like Absolute, like Seagram's, Pirates Booty. Loved Pirates Booty.
Yum.
I ate Pirates Booty for like the whole internship. But yeah, so I always did ad agency stuff, and that's what I thought like I was gonna do. And my first job out of college was technically at an agency. So I was hired by an agency, but I was hired as an embed for the client.
Okay.
So like I worked for Samsung. Like I worked at Samsung, but I was hired through an agency. So I was just like the person on the ground through the agency, but I basically worked on.
Is that how you got connected to Casey?
Yes.
No way.
Oh, trust me. The whole whirlwind is crazy of how I got into this.
Because Samsung. Okay, so today, deadass, I found out that you worked for 368. I am the biggest Casey Neistat fan.
What?
Ever. Like I'm literally afraid to meet him because I'm like, I'm so obsessed with him.
So
like I don't
funny.
want to ruin it. I don't think he will, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally
So
know what
I
you
found
mean.
this out today because I was like listening to all your podcasts last week that you were on, getting ready for this interview, and I was like, oh my god, not Ella literally working at 368.
I was employee number 1.
That is insane. Like I thought maybe when I graduated FITM, I would want to move there to work there specifically.
No way.
Yeah.
That would have been insane. Can you imagine?
Isn't it? Yeah. No, I can't imagine. But on the way here, I called Matt and I was like, give me the like tea on Ella. Like tell me all about it.
Tell me the
and
tea.
He was,
and you know Matt will tell you all the tea.
Yeah, I was just like, what's a direction I could go in that, most people have? And he was like, yeah, 368, like at Casey. I was like, oh my, he was like, TK, you're going to love this. And he was the first ever person. He was like, TK, you need to meet Ella Priya. Have you ever met her? And I was like, no, like, who is this? And
Matt did?
Yes.
Oh my God,
Matt
I love
was
Matt.
like, yes, you and Ella, I know we'll hit it off. Like, you're going to be good friends, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I just trust Matt because he's good at connecting people.
Oh, he's so good at it.
And ever since I've been like, I knew I liked her.
I mean, even the first time we met, I was like, we low-key have a lot in common.
I know.
Because, like, a lot of people in this world, and, like, not to discredit anyone, like, haven't worked real jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, or, like, came into it in a very different way than I think, like, you and I kind of did. Which is also why I think it gives us, like, a unique perspective, like, on this world.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, when I graduated college, I got this job at Samsung, and it was on the creator marketing team. So basically, since I graduated college, I've always been in the creator digital space. And our team was like, it was awesome because it was a 3-person team, and we were under like obviously the big marketing org, but we had so much freedom because at the time it was still kind of new. Like people like didn't really know what it was. So like we were kind of just like building what we wanted it to be. Mm-hmm. And so I worked with a lot of YouTubers. At the time it was all tech YouTubers. We had Marquez, we had Jacqueline, we had like Casey, like all of those people, and they're all great. And that's also like how I like got introduced to the space.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I worked at Samsung for I want to say like a year, because basically like while like I was there for a year and we did like huge stuff, and we worked with Casey on we did this shoot which we turned an abandoned mall in Milwaukee into a winter wonderland. Yeah. So we did that. That was like one of the most insane like things I've ever done still to this day.
He was like the huge Samsung
guy. I mean, he had like a huge deal. Like we worked with him on everything. Yeah. And then like through him, like we did the trip to Milwaukee and we invited like I think it was like 10 other tech YouTubers to like film the experience, which thinking back now to it, I'm like, that was an influencer trip. And it was before its time.
It was like a brand trip.
It was a brand trip. But like we didn't see it like that. But yeah. And so it was great working with him. And then my old boss at Samsung, Paul, kind of worked with Casey and they wanted to start 368. So Casey kind of brought on Paul to help him build this. And Paul brought on me and my old colleague, and we kind of like migrated slowly to working for 368. And then we like had the space on Broadway, and then I left 368. I left Samsung and started 368, and it was just the three of us.
That is crazy. Okay, so did you watch Casey's videos beforehand and stuff? Okay.
I actually had watched his videos before starting at Samsung because a friend of mine was obsessed with him, and like when he was doing the daily vlogs, she would like watch, and I lived with her for a bit, so we watched them all the time. So yeah, I did know about him before I started working with him, and definitely was a fan. Like he's amazing. Like definitely like kind of paved the way. Paved the way. I was like, that doesn't sound right. Paved the way for a lot of people in the industry for sure. And
totally.
And then 368, I was there for like 2.5 years almost.
Wow. And what was your position there?
So a lot of my career is like I always joke about this. If you go on my LinkedIn, it makes absolutely no sense because I've always worked like aside from Samsung, that was the biggest corporate job I've ever had. It's always been like startups and stuff. It's kind of like making up your own roles. Yeah. So I started as kind of like our events producer. So I was like, I've always done like production stuff. And so when we opened the space, we started by doing a lot of events. We were doing like a lot of content and partnering with brands. So I did that. And then as we hired more people, I kind of titled myself head of production.
Okay.
Because I was.
Yeah.
I was the only one.
Well, you have to.
I was the head of it.
When no one knows your title, you have to make your own.
Yeah.
You really do.
So I basically just like ran all the production at 368. We then grew the team like a good amount in the first like year. We brought on a lot of different people and it was great. I mean, what we did at 368, people are still confused about. I think they're still confused about what 368 is to this day.
Well, I was going to say, what made you decide to take the leap of leaving Samsung and going to this startup-y, I don't really know what this is.
Yeah.
Did you fully get the vision?
I think I got the vision. 1, 2, I mean, like, Samsung was great, but, like, I just know that I'm not a corporate girl.
Yeah.
Like, it was, like, like I'm used to like being in the room with all these people, brainstorming with them, like figuring this stuff out when there's so many like approval steps, this and that, like it becomes so much that I just like, I'll try this thing. I also like loved the team that I worked with. So like if they were leaving, I was like, I want to keep working with them because we all worked so well together.
I mean, that in itself though is a big risk.
Oh, it was a huge risk.
Yeah.
Huge risk. And like I worked in like this huge space that was empty for like months, and like that me and my other colleague, we basically became like contractors. We like had to get a kitchen built. We put walls up, we were painting, we were like putting electricity and like stuff that of course I had never done in my life. We just have to figure it out.
Epic.
And so we like built the space up, and then we started doing more and more stuff like within the space and just working with other like clients and creators. And when I was there, our main thing was like connecting people. So like, a brand would come to us and they'd be like, we want to use a bunch of creators for this. And then we'd, show them the best creators that we know and like have our network in. And then it kind of became a space for people to come and film and hang out and like do stuff. So it was really fun.
So it was like an agency meets production company type thing.
And the space was like the main part of it because we were on Broadway, basically in Soho, and it was huge.
Such a great location.
Yeah, and so people would always come by. In the basement, we had like people would come edit and film. We had like a little studio, which then became
Who's people like
a lot of like New York YouTubers, creators.
No way.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
So we worked with like a lot of people who were like basic, because that's the other thing that New York doesn't. I think now it's a bit more, but at the time, LA it's way easier to collab with people here, right? It's way more easier to meet people. Like, where to go to like see all the influencers.
Yeah.
In New York, there isn't much of that.
Really?
Yeah, and a lot of the like YouTubers and whatnot maybe don't live in the city. They maybe live in like Jersey or they live in Brooklyn or whatever. And so there's no real place like meet people or like, you know, go hang out. That's not like a coffee shop or like unless you have like some crazy membership. So that kind of became the space that it was.
Wow. Okay, what an experience.
Yeah, it was really cool.
What do you feel like you learned from Casey working? Because was he your boss?
Kind of. He was like all of our bosses, but he wasn't that much involved in like the business part of it.
Direct point.
Yeah, but he definitely like, you know, any big decision he would have to like, you know, approve and whatnot.
But just being in his orbit, because I think he's such a genius. What did you learn from him?
I mean, the biggest thing that Casey, I think, taught a lot of us is he does not take no for an answer.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So no matter
like the Kris Jenner now.
But it's just, you know, like if we had to get something done, no wasn't an option.
Wow.
So I think that also taught me a lot like in my career and just like especially in like production, because I think the main thing of being a producer is just like being a problem solver. And,
figuring it out.
Yeah. And with him, it was just like, you got to figure it out. No matter what, you got to figure it out. Like it would be it would be like, you know, we're turning an abandoned mall into a winter wonderland. You're like, well, no.
Figure it out.
So I think that was definitely like the biggest thing was like figure it out. And I'm trying to think what I mean, like, yeah,
was that the craziest thing you feel like you had to figure out, the abandoned mall?
It's definitely a lot of different things. Again, also because like at the time I was pretty inexperienced. Like I had internships, I had worked, but you know, to be like one of three in like a company that like is still growing and like having to make decisions and having to like do stuff. It definitely was scary, but yeah, the figuring stuff out was the main thing. Like it was anything and everything. The winter wonderland, that was like when I was still at Samsung, but at 368 it was more so, you know, like we'd put on an event in like 2 days, or you know, we'd have to like find some crazy thing, or we'd have to paint a wall or like make something look completely different. Yeah, which was a good thing too, that, you know, not being a corporate huge company, like we could be scrappy. You know, like, oh, we need a wall painted, I'd paint the wall. Yeah. So I was like, I'll just do it. Like we got to do it.
Who else is
I don't have time to hire someone.
Yeah. Okay, so you learned you don't take, or he never takes no for an answer.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
The learning part of that is just that I think that you can do whatever you set your mind to is like the greater part of that lesson, I think. And that
so inspirational.
Yeah. And like, you know, like if you really want something, like you can make it possible.
Totally.
Like I think a lot of people like stunt themselves really early on in a decision to be like, oh well, if that can't happen, if that doesn't work, then I won't do it. It's like, no, like you work through that, you get to the point where you can be like, okay, I can make this happen. But I think that, and just like his creativity, like he definitely the one thing that I will say I was so surprised about, like watching him make his videos at the time he was still making them, was he's like kind of like one hit wonder kind of guy. Like I see people film now and it's like, oh, they do retakes, they do this, they do that. Like
really,
he's so clear with the vision of what he's filming. Like, you know, when he'll like walk into a room and there'll be like multiple shots of him like walking into the room. He literally sets his camera, shoots, done. Like
wow,
makes that 3-second clip like done, and
he doesn't overthink.
He doesn't overthink, and I think he is so like his vision is pretty clear beforehand of whatever he's doing that it's so much easier because
he's like editing as he films.
Yeah, exactly. So I think just like being very aware of what you're going to do and like having a clear vision before you do it, because obviously it's great to wing stuff and like you can make amazing content and do amazing things with just like figuring it out on the spot. But I think like structurally and making it easier for yourself to like have a clear vision prior to like helps a lot.
Wow, I love that. That's really good. Okay, so while you're at 368, this is how you met David.
Yes. So it's literally crazy.
This is the most bananas story ever.
It's bananas.
You have a crazy life story.
Thank you. I'd like to think so. But yeah, no, while I was at 368, we did a pop-up for David for his merch. Because he was doing pop-ups around, and like they did one in New York, and obviously like Casey and David were friends, and like they had done videos together and whatnot, and our space was huge and it was perfect for something like that.
And were you like familiar with YouTubers? Like were you watching YouTubers? Did you watch him?
I became more familiar when I worked at Samsung because I spent like as like a junior employee, I was also the person like finding people on YouTube to work with, so I was watching a shit ton of YouTubes. Yeah. Exactly. But at the time it was like tech YouTubers. It was a very different world. But while I was at Samsung, I started watching David's videos, and actually I will say I became close to David or met him like more so on a friendly level when I was at 368. But when I was at Samsung, we actually did an event and I flew out the whole vlog squad to New York and like put them up and like we did this whole thing with them with Samsung.
Shut up.
Yeah, so I had an interaction with him before, but it was very like
work.
It was very work.
Okay.
Like I was just like the junior employee, was like running around doing stuff. But that was like the first thing that I actually ever did with them.
But it just goes to show you always remember the way people make you feel.
Yeah.
You know, and if you, for some reason, had a bad experience,
Yeah.
like the rest of this probably wouldn't have happened.
Totally.
So it's just, I feel like I'm always paying attention because I've been the employee
Yeah.
so many times for people, and I pay attention to who, like what creators or what talent or, you know, how they treat me.
Yeah. And I think it's the other way too, because I remember when I met like David again more at 368, like he remembered me.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, you were at Samsung.
No way.
And like in my head, I was like, there's no way he remembers that. You know what I mean? But even from our small interaction, I guess
That's
it was
so
a good
true.
one and he remembered it. Yeah.
Wow,
which was
that's
good.
great. Okay, so then you...
So then we did a pop-up for David at 368 and it was like a 3-day pop-up. It was the most insane thing I've ever experienced. Like the line was around like 3 blocks.
was this peak vlogging era?
Yeah, this
kinda?
was like 2019, I believe. Yeah, 2019. So it was like his peak. He was like doing amazing. Like, it was crazy. And I've never seen so many people. Like
Crazy.
It was
I feel like I remember
crazy.
seeing stories of that.
It was crazy. And so we did this whole pop-up. It was for his merch. He came and he was with like Natalie and I think Jason had come and like a couple other people. And so we did the pop-up and I was at that time in charge because we had a company who was doing like the build out for the pop-up that I think Fanjoy had hired or something. So, but I was in charge of like the production of like our space and all security. So like I was the girl with the mic being like, David is arriving, David is arriving. Eagle has landed.
No way.
Yeah. So I was kind of like their go-to person.
Because you were in charge of the events and production and stuff.
So, yeah, exactly. So it was like we worked with that a lot. And so then I was like their main point of contact like when they were coming to the space and like making sure he had security because it was insane. Like there were like thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
Oh my gosh.
It was definitely the most crazy experience. But then, yeah, we spent obviously like those 3 days together. And I think it was the first or second night they like wanted to go out. And so I was like, oh, like, let's, you know, I think we had like organized a dinner for them. And they're like, oh, are you guys coming? And I was like, didn't really realize I was invited, but sure.
Sure.
I'll come. And then, yeah, so we all had dinner together and then we went out. I like took them to like a club and a bar and we had like a really good time and it was like a very like friendly level. And again, like we're all around the same age. Like we were similar in a lot of stuff. And yes, we became really close then. And I remember David then actually was like, will you move to LA?
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, no.
It's such a YouTuber thing to
I know.
like. They're like, no, move to LA
They're like,
right
no,
now.
just like move to LA right now. And I was like, no thanks. But yeah, so it was great. We had so much fun. And then he came back a couple other times for like another, I think we did like an event with like EA that him and Jason came for. And then anytime he would come to New York, they would always come by the studio or like go to Casey's or like come do stuff. So yeah, I ended up seeing them like quite a lot. And then we kind of just always kind of kept in contact. I've told this story before, but David always says that one of the reasons why he like knew that he wanted to hire me was because I think it was the pop-up day or maybe it was like another time that they had come. They were about to miss their flight and they were like in the Uber and he had like texted me and I was like, you should get on a helicopter. Just go get on a blade. And he was like,
wait, why did he text you? Was he like, we're about to miss our flight?
Yeah, I think because they had left and they were like something about their flight. They had said like, oh, we're going to miss their flight.
Okay.
Something about that. And I was like, you should take a blade. And he was like, what do you mean? How do I do that? And I was like, I'll do it. So I just like booked them this helicopter that left like
insane.
10 minutes later.
And from the city to
from the city to
airport?
JFK. And it's literally like a 5-minute helicopter and it drops you off right at JFK.
Get out.
But like in New York, like if you're hit traffic, it can take like 2 hours to get to JFK. And
how much is it?
It's like a blade. I think it's like $700 or something.
Per
I think
passenger?
it's actually not that. No, you can because you can get on a blade with other people for only like $250.
Shut up.
It's worth it.
That's like sometimes how much an Uber is.
No, I know. That's why it's worth it. And I remember there because it was like 4 of them, so I think it was around like $700 to like $1,000, which realistically for like a couple of people isn't that bad if you're gonna like about to miss your flight and like take 5 minutes to get to JFK. But I also the funny thing is, so he was like, okay, do it, and I booked it. and he had like sent me his card and it like wasn't working. So I was like, okay, whatever, I'll just put it on my card. And like,
oh my God.
I'm like 20, I don't know, 2 at the time or something. And I'm like, I have
That's
no money.
expensive.
I was like, oh my God, my credit card limit's basically like that. So I'm like so stressed
like,
out
please
about
go through.
it. I was like, fuck. But I did it. It worked out. And they got on the helicopter. They also like got content. It like made it into the vlog or something. And they made their flight and he was really happy with it. And then I know now that he's now told this story. He's like, what's the helicopter girl? Like, get the helicopter girl. We gotta hire her. Yeah.
That
so,
is
that was the thing
hilarious.
that stuck with him. But it was because, like, as I said before, it's like problem solving.
Yes.
You need people who
making
can
life
do
easier
that.
for him.
Exactly. So it was just kind of like, I was like, I got you. Like, we'll book it. It took me 5 minutes. I did it all. I called them. Like, I had a relationship and it worked out.
That
was the thing
amazing.
that made him remember me, I guess.
So what did he want to hire you for? Or why did he want you to move to LA?
I don't know.
Okay.
The initial, for the real time, it was, they were starting like a bunch of different new stuff. Like they had the podcast going and he had these like other companies that he was starting and whatnot. So they just like needed more help because, I mean, when I realized that behind him, there's literally 2 people.
Oh, it's insane.
I was like, like people like Mr. Beast have like 20 to 30 employees.
Or I would say more, probably.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So very surprising that someone at the caliber of David only had that many. But yeah, and so initially it was kind of like they wanted help with like production stuff again and like helping him with just like his like daily life and whatnot. Because initially they had called me a couple months before I actually moved and they asked if I wanted to come to be his assistant, like what Taylor is right now.
Oh. Was
And-
Taylor not there yet?
No, they had called me like right before they hired Taylor, I think, or met Taylor, and I basically had like kind of said no because I was like still at another job, and I again didn't want to move to LA, and I also like didn't really want to be an assistant,
Personal assistant.
because I'd already been working for like
Well, that's a completely different
3-4
line of work
years.
than
Yeah.
what you had been doing.
exactly, and it like wasn't in my career trajectory. But then they called me again because I told him when they called me initially, I was like, look, if you ever have anything else that you guys need help with, like I'm totally down. I just don't necessarily want to do that.
Wow.
So then they called me and I was like, okay, fuck it, I'll come.
Holy shit. Okay, I love this. Okay, I want to backtrack a little. Why do you feel like you're so good at problem solving, figuring out shit, last minute stuff?
I mean,
Have you always been that way?
I think I've always been that way. I definitely think it slightly stems from my parents. Like my dad is very much like that. Like I've always been like, my friends always joke that I'm like the dad of the group.
Okay. In
Like,
what way?
In like the way that I'm always like making sure everything's good. Like I'm the one that's organizing stuff. I'm the one that's like making the reservations. Like
Really?
I'm the one that's like fixing stuff for people. Like you know what I mean? It's
Okay.
just always been that way. Like my friends would be like, oh, I need help moving. Like I've helped so many of my friends move or like put up their TVs, like dumb
You
shit
just
like
figure
that.
it out on your own. You
Yeah.
don't hire people.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I think that has always been the case. Like I'm also very like controlling is the wrong word because it sounds negative, but I like to be in control of my life. So like I think that also like transcends of like I would rather make the reservation for my friend group than it be in the hands of
Someone else.
who like, oh, they're not doing it or we don't know what to do. I'm like, I'd rather just like us have a plan and everyone's happy. And most of the time everyone wants that because
Okay.
they don't want to deal with it, you know? So I think it stems from that. My dad's also very similar. I've also always been like a last minute traveler, which I swear to God, it does something to you.
Oh, it's a specific type of person.
Yes.
And they know how to like.
Exactly. Because, like, my dad has always been like that. So, like, if my flights have never been booked more than a month in advance. Like, I have friends who will be like, oh, I have a flight in 6 months. I'm like, how the hell do you already have that flight? Like, how do you know what you're doing then? How do you know that you can leave that day?
No, literally.
And so I've always been, like, my dad has always been that way, too. Also just because, like, he's really good at, like, being like, oh, we'll use miles or, like, I'll get this. Like, I'll get a deal or something. And I swear that has, like, molded me into being that because I don't get stressed in like certain situations, which I think a lot of people do, which like helps with, you know, figuring stuff out.
I love chaos.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we love chaos, but also you can still like, I know it's going to be fine, you know? And like, I remember in college, my senior year, so I was graduating and we had to leave our dorms like the day after your last exam. And I had my last exam and I still didn't have a flight home. And, like, I got out of my exam, and my dad was like, okay, we got you a flight. You leave tomorrow. So then I, like, packed my whole dorm and, like, figured it out. And then I left. But all my friends were like, Ella, when are you leaving? And I was like, I don't know, but I'll leave. Like, I'm not going to, like, say. I'll figure it out. And, like, that even like I think helps a lot in
that
in
makes
doing
a great producer though.
Yeah.
Scrappy last minute figuring
stuff.
it out.
Yeah.
Okay, wow. I don't know. I feel like so many people that have that entrepreneur spirit are very drawn to you because they're like, you get it.
Yeah.
What do you feel like, what qualities about yourself do you feel like embrace that entrepreneur side?
I mean, again, problem solving we've said before, but also I will say like I think I'm easy to talk to in the sense that like I can be professional, but I've never been like so professional in a corporate way that it's always like on a level set. Like I respect hierarchy, but I don't necessarily adhere to it. You know what I mean? Like if I'm talking to someone like above me or like someone that's really important, obviously I'll have respect for them, but I also won't treat them differently than I would someone else. And I think some people like that.
Love.
Because it's like you're relating to them, you're still being a normal person. Like you're when you act to like, oh yes, of course, or like you're a yes man to people, I think that's the thing that I would say is like a quality of mine that I have been told is that I'm not a yes man. Like if I don't agree with something, even if it is the boss of the boss, I'll say something. And a lot of people really value that.
There it is.
Because they want like real opinions and they don't want people to just be like, oh yes, that's a great idea, sir.
Totally.
And if I don't think it's a great idea, I'm not going to be rude and be like, you're stupid, that's dumb. But I'll be like, well, I think that
I would go about it this way.
And you don't have to agree with it at all. But I think a lot of people appreciate you speaking your mind in a respectful way, obviously. But just like being like that with whoever it is, like whether it's your friends or your bosses or the people you work with. As long as it's like to everyone's gain, like you're not obviously doing it for your own gain, but I think that's definitely like a big thing for me.
Thank you so much to eBay for sponsoring this episode of Making Moves. Whether you're searching for the latest sneaker drop, that iconic handbag, a timeless watch, or your next piece of classic jewelry, eBay authenticators are there verifying every detail of your purchase. Yep, we're talking each inch, stitch, tick, facet, and clasp that make the piece you're searching for worthy of your collection. eBay's authenticators are experts in their craft, true connoisseurs. And as leaders in their fields, they're making sure your items always arrive as authentic as your style. So go ahead, get that piece you've always wanted, and leave it up to the meticulous eye of an eBay authenticator to make sure that watch movement is original, that glimmer is real gold, that rare sneaker is legit, or that handbag is really made of genuine leather, and never get faked over again. In a world full of fakes, it's time to get real with eBay Authenticity Guarantee. Everyone deserves real. Visit ebay.com for the terms. If there was someone who, is just graduated and they were like, oh my gosh, I would love to have a job like Ella had, either at 368 or working with a big creator, etc., what advice would you give them?
My advice, I mean, this is maybe like not right out of college, but I really stand by this, is just like be really friendly and nice to everyone, because like maybe this actually can relate to it, because I found myself that, you're talking to, I don't know, the editor, you're talking to the boss, or you're talking to like whatever level it is, people remember that.
Totally.
And unfortunately, a lot of this world is like connections and just like who you know and whatnot. Like obviously you can apply to a job online and you'll get it, but a lot of it is through like personal connections. So the more of those you have, the further you'll go. So like in college, like I made friends with like every single person at my internship, and all those people went to different companies. And then, if you like see someone at that company, like, oh, well, I know that person there. I can email them, I can text them, or whatever it is, and that gets you a foot in the door, and it kind of helps you do that. So like definitely like making sure that you're like keeping connections, keeping close to people, like being a nice person, obviously. But then also just the scrappy part,
Yeah. Being ready to do the dirty work.
It sucks for sure. Don't get me wrong. Like the junior part of your career, like you're definitely doing some work that you probably don't want to do, but at the end of the day, it always ends up being worth it. But like, I think like scrappy, but also skills. So like developing random skills is so helpful.
Wow, that's great. Okay, what are your random skills?
So like, I mean, my random skills that I like have just learned over the course of the years is like, I don't know, I started making Instagram filters. Did that
the vibe check?
Yeah, vibe check. That's my filter. If you use vibe check, it says past or not past. I made that. And I just like got interested in it. We had done like a workshop at 368, I think. And
That's so funny.
like to this date, it hasn't done anything like in my work career. But one, it's something that I've talked about multiple times in interviews or with people because it's just interesting. And it shows that you're like trying to learn new things, trying to do different stuff. You know what I mean?
That is such a random skill.
So random.
It's like a good one to have.
It's like, why did I make Instagram filters? But by making Instagram filters, I learned how to use Blender, which is like a 3D modeling software. And I learned how to use Spark. When I was in college, it wasn't part of my major, but I took a bunch of like Photoshop and like Final Cut.
Like Adobe stuff.
Classes because I wanted to learn that. So like by no means am I a pro at it, but I have the basics of it that if say someone like a David would have been like, hey, can you edit this for me? I can do that. I can do the basic of it because I know it. And like you can obviously like teach yourself those things, but having skills like that can help you in your career is super helpful.
I could not agree more.
So like I know I'm in the digital space. For me, knowing how to edit is probably going to be valuable eventually.
Absolutely.
You know? Or it's like, I don't know.
Even if that means you just need to teach someone how to edit.
Totally. Just whatever it is. Or you can be like, oh, you just do that. And like it will help you so much in having these like random things. And it's just like a good thing to talk about. Like I remember I had an interview for a job like when I was still in New York, and I had an Instagram page with a friend of mine that we would do like we'd basically like review restaurants and bars and tell you what to wear to them.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was a great idea.
Yeah, I love it.
And I had made a website for it. And during the interview, I guess they had looked me up and he asked me about it. He was like, oh, so like tell me about this like New York the Look thing that you have. And so I did. And I had no idea that they would ever ask me about this random thing that I was doing with my friend kind of for fun. And I was telling them, and I had made on the website this map that like had all the places that we had picked, and it looked really cute. And he was really intrigued by the fact that I had made that website. And I made it on Wix, but still, you like need to know the basis of like how to do something like that. And they were like really intrigued by it and loved it.
Well, I think it also shows that you're self-sufficient, and if you have an idea, you'll just figure it out, which shows so many things like in an employee that I would want. So many, I guess, assets and skills just in itself. Like, oh, like you just had this idea and you figured it out.
Exactly.
Like, that just says a lot without saying a lot.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
What skills do you think people should definitely know if they want to get into this space?
Into this space, I mean, honestly, like all the editing softwares are like really good to know, you know. Premiere, Final Cut, Photoshop, Illustrator, Adobe, all of them. It's like just to know the basis
and to speak the language, to be able to like
so you know what someone's saying. Yeah, exactly. But like, you know, even learning Illustrator or Photoshop, like simple things like, oh, you want to put like the text on this and stuff. And nowadays, I will say there's so many like apps and stuff that make it so easy, like Canva and like CapCut and whatnot. But having that like slightly more pro knowledge will definitely be helpful. I think that I think organization, like just like, you know, making sure that you are using like a Google Drive or you're using a Dropbox and like really keeping everything that you have organized. And I will say I'm not very good at this. My fault. If you see my computer, I always have like 25 tabs open at once.
Me.
But that's how my brain works personally, because if I close a tab, I'll forget about that thing. So I keep it open even if I won't open it for 2 weeks. But yeah, definitely like keeping your stuff very organized, you know, knowing the skills of all the softwares. Oh, I mean, I guess it goes into like organizational skills, but like keep all your contacts, like not like phone contacts, like keep a Excel spreadsheet of everyone that you ever meet that does something. You know what I mean? Like if I'll meet someone who's like redoing a wall, you will never know when you're going to need that person
you're
again.
Exactly right.
And you'll forget it. You'll be like, oh, who was that guy that like once did that wall for me or whatever it is. And so now anytime I work with someone in like any space, I like write down their email and like what their company is or what it is and like have it there. So then even if someone else asks me, like you ask me like, oh, like I need someone to like redo my podcast studio or something. I'm like, I got someone. Here you go.
Yeah. That is something I learned from Alicia with working with her is it's insane the amount of people, which this all goes back to like being nice to everyone, keeping your connections from college, etc. Because the time she would be like, okay, like dead ass for Pretty Basic is when I produced Pretty Basic. She was like, okay, we want to build a set. Like TK, what do we do? And then I was like, okay, I got to find a set designer, blah, blah, blah. I found the set designer, I think through Joe Vulpes, maybe, because I was asking around who did like Views and Impulsive and everyone. And did you find Mike?
Yeah.
Okay. I threw
Dude,
someone.
Mike has done everyone's. I'm like, I need a fucking commission. I've given him so much work.
And who gave me that contact? I want to say it was Joe Vulpes.
Probably, yeah.
But
because I think Mike helped them with theirs too. He helped with a lot of people's. He's great.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah.
So then I found Mike. And now when people ask me for podcasts, I'm like, Mike.
Yeah, exactly. But that's how like you want people to do it to you.
Yes.
Like you want someone to be like, oh,
you need her.
You need her.
Yes.
And that's literally how I think since I lived in New York has how all my jobs have happened.
100%. But it's so true because the amount of like random things she would need, or even now that I need, that I can't even put a finger on what it would be, but it would be the most random, like, oh, we need a jet ski guy for like this time of the day tomorrow. Like, who do you know? I have someone. You figure it out.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's so true. We've both been there and working with Mike.
And like you become like the go-to person for stuff like that. Like I'll even get texts like random stuff that I don't have contacts for, but they just assume that I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, do you have a contact to like this plane? I'm like, no. But I can actually probably find it for you.
Figure it out.
But no, I don't. But there's so many ways that I probably will be. Oh yeah, I got a person for you.
Yes. Yeah. All the time now. People are like, oh, do you know someone I could hire as an assistant? I'm like,
I know. That is the one that I get the most, and I honestly don't have that. Because all my friends basically already have jobs.
I feel like I used to be that girl because I had so many friends that were like looking, but now they all have jobs. So now I'm like,
I know. I think
we're
we're at the older stage where like I think when we were younger, everyone was trying to do that, and now most of them are more settled.
Totally. Okay, so you moved to LA.
Yes.
Let's go back to the life path. You moved to LA and you're working for David.
Yes.
What did that entail?
I mean, honestly, it was so crazy because when I moved, it was pandemic. So David wasn't filming vlogs. So the days were way different than I think they were before.
And Snap wasn't a thing yet either.
No. So basically, we were just like our main things were the podcast. We already had started working on Dough Bricks then.
Okay.
So like even though it was like 2 years ago or whatever, 3 years ago. So like pizza tastings, like stuff like that. Yeah, and so we were doing a bunch of stuff, but he wasn't filming the vlog. So what I thought was going to be like the most chaotic time was like actually pretty chill because he wasn't filming. But we were still doing a lot of like, he was like doing TikToks and Instagrams and stuff like that. So they were going to start a company when I had moved. They then decided not to, which was like the big thing for me because I was like, oh, I thought I moved for this reason. And then literally the day I got there, they had this big meeting and decided not to do the company they were going to do. It was kind of going to be an agency. And I was like, oh, so like, what am I going to do? Like, well, what's my role now? But we just figured it out. I just like helped out with a bunch of stuff. Then the podcast became like my main thing.
Wait, I just have to ask, when that happened, how did you feel?
Oh, I was so scared. I like called my dad and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't think that they're like doing. I don't know what I'm like brought here to do.
So you're scared more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was like, I knew that I would figure something out, but I was just scared that I had literally just moved my whole life. Like,
I mean,
it wasn't like I had come here for 2 weeks and been like, oh, like I can go back. Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
I was like living in Scott and Jack's like guest house for the first month. Yeah, it was crazy because I was also like when I moved, I was like, I don't have an apartment.
Were you frustrated?
Honestly, no. For some reason. Because I came here already with such an open mind of like what I was going to do. And like I knew it was going to be something like crazy anyway. Like it wasn't going to be a normal job. So I was ready for anything really. I was just more like scared and confused of like, oh fuck, like what have I done? Like should I have done this?
Did I make the right decision?
Yeah. But then again, it worked out so well and it was super chill. But the podcast became like my main thing.
And what'd you do with the pod?
Well, the beginning when we were doing COVID, we were just audio, so I just produced it. Like
I wish I knew you then, because we could have like come up with so many ideas together.
And yeah, it was just like we would film it. I'd listen to it. We'd help. Joe was editing, so we'd like listen to the cuts and go back and forth. And then once David got his new house, which I was like also part of that. Kind of ordeal of him getting the house, and we decided to like build the studio. That like took me a couple months, and that was like the main project that I had.
The set is so epic.
It was sick. It's really cool. I love it. Sad that it doesn't get any use anymore, but no, it was really cool. So yeah, it was kind of like that stuff. I helped Natalie a lot with like her, like, you know, she does a lot of his brand deals and all his management. He had a different manager at the time too. So it was weird because like we all worked so in tandem with each other that there were no clear roles, which can be bad, but also can be good if you're just like open to doing anything. Like, sure, if it was, someone needed to go pick up something at the store, like, no, probably that wasn't my job, but like I'll do it because like, you know, we're all doing each other's job. We're all doing everything.
Trying to get through the day.
Exactly. So that was kind of it. But we did a lot of really cool stuff when I was there. And then he started Dispo while I was there. And like that, so after the podcast, like after doing the studio, that kind of became, I was doing like a bit of Dispo stuff, a bit of David stuff. Like I was like kind of back and forth with doing those things. And then eventually I went full time at Dispo.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then is Dispo still alive?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't really know.
I remember when that came out, I was like, this is genius.
It was amazing. Like the concept was so good. The app itself at the beginning was amazing. Like I had a lot of faith in it. And yeah, and same thing there. Like I was employee number 3 or 4.
Oh my gosh, you have so much on your resume.
I know, it's crazy. And so I was like doing that with David, but then at that time, like there wasn't much to do at David's. So they were too like, I think you should like go full time at Dispo and like help us like with that, because like I knew what his vision was, and you know I still like saw them all the time. So yeah, I worked at Dispo for almost a year, a little under
From
a
home?
year. No, we got an office.
Oh, no way. Where's the office?
I don't know if it's still there. It was in Santa Monica.
No way.
Which was really far. But yeah, we would never full time in office. We'd do like 3 days on, 3 days off or something. But yeah, I worked there for a while, and it definitely the trajectory of it changed a bit, and it was great though, because it was basically like another tech startup. It was really interesting to like see the works, and like we raised a bunch of money, and like we were doing really cool stuff. Like the people that worked there were so talented. Like we had the best engineers, the best designers, like everything. So that was really fun, and it was like a very different experience that I didn't think I was gonna have while being in LA.
Yeah, that's so crazy. I remember getting
Beta.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
you
remember
got the
getting
beta
the beta. Yeah, and I was like, "This is so cool." And I
Yeah.
remember getting the beta for when it was trying to be almost like its own social media.
Yeah, so because it started with just like it being the camera.
Yeah.
And then we developed profiles, and then there was like kind of a feed, but it was still very much supposed to be like live in the moment. Like you're not supposed to spend a lot of time on it. You know, the concept was you took a picture and you couldn't see it till the next day, like a disposable.
And then how did you get to Aloe?
So I left Dispo in like September, October of 2021.
Just because you wanted something different?
Yeah, and like they were doing different stuff, and it kind of just like, yeah, I had a lot of stuff going on then, so I stopped working at Dispo, and then I freelanced for like a month or two, and then I got a call from my good friend Casey Neistat.
Shut up.
Yeah. And he was like, a friend of mine is working at Aloe doing experiential marketing, and she's looking for someone to join her team. I think you'd be great. Like, do you want to talk to her? And I was like, oh shit, like sure. And I will say at the time, like I wasn't trying to go to a full-time job. Like I was really trying to like be freelance and like do my own thing. But yeah, so then I met them. Like I got connected through Casey basically, and went in for an interview.
Word of mouth, baby.
Word of mouth. Went in for an interview. Got along really well with my boss, and kind of I started like the month after.
No way.
Yeah.
And were you on the marketing team? Or?
Yeah, I was on the marketing team. I was on the experiential team, so we did all the events, which is like the only like
the Aloe House.
yes. So we did all the Aloe houses, all like
Yeah.
events in the different. We did like New York and LA and like
Sick.
all of our different spaces. And I always said that if I was like when I had the conversation at Aloe, I was like, this is the only team that I would join if I were to go back into corporate, because it's still very much like not scrappy, but like I know how to do events. I love
Yeah.
doing events. It's like you're traveling a lot. You're like
It's last minute.
you're not in the office that much because you're like, you know, on site, you're getting stuff, you're doing all that stuff.
It's like
which
the
is
least corporate-y.
exactly. So that's why I was like, okay, this is actually kind of perfect. And it's a great company. Like they're doing so well. I did go into an office every day, which was a lot, but it's an amazing office. But yeah, so I worked there for like a year, and I just
Wow.
quit.
Okay, congrats.
Thank you.
You're solo dolo now.
Solo dolo. So I quit in like February, like beginning of February, and again took another risk. I had decided because I had started doing some side gigs, and like I've always done side gigs. I've always done like things on the side, and they started to become more real. And I was like, look, if there's no time like right now, like if I don't do this now, I'm never gonna do it, you know? And I had gotten my experience from Al. I learned so much there. Like I met a lot of people through it. Loved all the people that I worked with. So I was
How long
like,
were you there?
a year,
Okay.
like literally on the dot. I like quit like 2 weeks after my 1 year.
No way.
Yeah. That's why I made a TikTok recently that I was like, I've actually never had a job for longer than the longest one was actually 368, but it also like didn't feel like one job because it felt like so many.
Yeah.
Like since I graduated college, I've had 6 jobs.
That is insane.
And most of my friends from college are still at the same job that they've had since we graduated college.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, good for you.
No, it's great. And I always say like, you know, if you want to leave somewhere, leave. Like
Experience.
don't stay just because like you're scared or you think that it's not going to get better, or, you know, I get it. A lot of people like, you want the promotion, you want the title and this and that. But also if you move a lot of different places, you get those things.
What do you feel like is the best way to leave a company that you want to move away from?
I mean, always leave on good terms. Like, obviously, like you don't want to create any drama or anything. But I mean, again, I think that is really scary. Like people think like, oh, they're going to hate me if I leave and whatnot. But at the end of the day, like you always have to remember that the people are not the company. You know what I mean? Like we're all just people like working for somewhere. Like if you go and you like what I said when I quit was like, look, I want to do something that's like good for me. Like this is like my new step in the new direction, or like I've gotten everything out of this job that I can. Like I'd love to work with you again in the future. Like kind of stuff like that. I think it's always good. Like keeping a really good relationship. Like having no hatred towards the people, no like, you know, bad blood or ill will is always good for sure. But yeah, I left in beginning of February, and same thing there. Like a lot of stuff had also changed within the company, so there was less for me to do regardless. So I was like, I think this is the perfect time for me to leave because like I'm not gonna be like fucking over someone by being like, oh, like we're supposed to do this event, now you're not gonna be here, kind of thing. Like it was like kind of a lull moment. So it worked out, and I've, you know, still to this day, like I'm, you know, friends with a lot of people that are there, and I've told them when I left, I was like, if you ever do need to hire someone, freelance or like for a project, like I'm totally down. Obviously, I know the ins and outs so well that it works
You'd
well.
be perfect for that.
Yeah. But yeah, and then so since then, I've been solo for now like almost 3 months.
Freelance. Producing.
Well, no. So this is, so like the main things that I am focusing on is I have an agency.
Okay.
And we started this kind of, I work with like a friend of mine and a couple other people, but we started it last year because basically like I've been in the industry for a long time. My friend has too. I've done like influencer marketing. I've been on the client side. So I know both things. And it started by just helping out some of our influencer friends, like more micro people with just like contracts and stuff. Because truly, if you don't know, like you can really get fucked over.
Oh, 100%.
Or like taken advantage of. And I hate seeing that when people do that. So we started by just like helping a couple of our friends, you know, with their brand deals, and we'd like just like email them to us, and like we'll read the contract, we can redline them, we can like negotiate your fee and whatnot. And so we started by doing that, and it kind of like built up, and then we kind of built a roster of people that we work with.
Get out.
Yeah. And
do you take a percentage?
Yeah. And so now like the way that we do it too is, you know, some of our talent will send them their inbound, but we also pitch them out.
Wow.
So I have a lot of people on our roster that we don't necessarily work with exclusively, but if we can get them a deal through our pitching, then we'll take a percentage of it. But it's also not a high percentage compared to other management companies. So we kind of started doing that, and it became like more and more of a thing. And we obviously like have a lot of brand contacts, and like we're pitching out people and helping whatnot. And so now we have a roster of almost 25 people.
That is insane, Ella.
Yeah. So I do influencer management for the people that we are on our roster, and we like talk to brands and pitch out a lot. And then the agency also, we do like brand partnerships. So we've helped a couple of brands with like say events or whatnot, like finding other partners for them. And same thing, working on like a commission based, and then also events. So like keeping all the things that I do into one. So it's like the management,
it's like your own thing.
The management side, the brand side, and then the event side.
Do you have a name for the agency?
It's Shalla NYC.
What is it?
SHALLA. Shalla.
Okay.
So
what does that mean?
Shalla is like, it's an Italian slang word that like I've used my whole life. Shalla is like chill. It's like Shalla, it's fine.
Shalla.
Shalla.
It's fine.
And I honestly, like, it's funny because I created this company, like I've had the LLC for a long time because it's also like through what I have my visa. but now it's developed into such a different thing that I had originally set out for it to be. But yeah, so then that's our main thing, and it honestly takes up a lot of time.
Wait, Ella, this is so cool.
I know.
I'm so excited for you.
I was like, I didn't know if you knew that I did this or not, but it's a great way to tell you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your full-time thing now.
That's the full-time thing mostly, yeah. And then I work on this brand called I Like You with my friend Isaac.
Okay, I know this.
Yes, and so Isaac and I have been friends for a couple of years now. And I started helping him out like a couple of years ago, but then when the pandemic was kind of over, we started throwing parties, and like obviously partying is my favorite thing to do, and I love it. And Isaac's a really good DJ, so we started throwing these parties, and we started in New York, and he had kind of blown up on TikTok during that time too. So we did our first party in New York, and he had posted about it on TikTok, and we had like over 1,000 people show up.
No way.
For like a 400-person venue, and it was crazy.
I feel like I always see the ones here. They go crazy.
No, and it's so fun. And like our concept around it is very much like everyone's welcome. It's not like this super exclusive thing. And everyone dances. Like it's the best music ever. We always have different hosts, different DJs.
Don't you DJ?
Yeah, I've started to.
Which I could so see it. I love this so much.
I know. But so I've been working with Isaac on I Like You for like a while now. And that's definitely like one of the other things that we do, because we have like merch, we have like little stickers, and we've made t-shirts, hats. We'll do the parties. We've worked with other brands too. Like we'll have like sponsors like for our parties. We did a party with like Locks Club. And it was so
Locks
fun
Club.
And like it's great for them. So that's something that we're trying to build a lot too, which again, when I was doing it, when I still had a full-time job, I couldn't dedicate that much time to it. And now that I really see that we're like getting somewhere, you know? And I'm also able to like travel. Like I was just in Miami because we had a party in Miami.
So sick.
And before I would never be able to do that when I had a full-time job, because it's like I can't like on a whim be like, oh, I gotta go to New York, I gotta go to Miami for the party.
Yeah.
Especially because it's like, we normally do them on weeknights. Like that was how we started. We started to do more weekend ones now too. But it was so hard for me to like ever make it to them. Like I'd work on them on the back end, but then I couldn't go because I'd be working.
That's crazy.
But now I can.
And now I think the biggest thing for me, at least being like full-time on my own, is I have like time to think about what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know
Literally.
what I mean? I didn't realize how much of my brain space, which is like no shit.
Yeah.
But how much of my brain space was being taken obviously by your full-time thing.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, wow, I'm so creative with my own stuff. And I have the time to like think about it and execute it.
Totally. But it's also because like, for me, when I had a full-time job and I was in an office, like in my head, I'd be like, okay, after work, I'll like look at this thing and do that. But then I'd get home and be like, I'm so tired.
You're
like,
always side tabling.
I don't want to do that. I want to watch TV now or something. Because it's like your brain power is gone from the whole day that like you can't focus on the other stuff.
Totally.
And like, you know, if you have ADD or like stuff, it's so hard to concentrate on things. But yeah, no. So that stuff's really fun. And then since doing the parties and like working with Isaac, I also like started to learn how to DJ because I always kind of wanted to.
I love this so much.
And
I want to come to one of the parties.
You haven't been to one yet?
I don't think I have.
What?
I know.
Were you not here for the last one?
I
the
think I've
pre-Coachella
been out
one.
of. Yeah, I was. I think. Oh, then I had strep throat.
Oh, okay. That's a fine excuse. If not, I would not forgive
you. Didn't you guys do a collab with, I think Connor once? Connor Wood.
Connor was a host for us last year. Yeah.
I couldn't go to. I remember. I need to go.
Yeah, you have to come.
I feel like every time I'm like out of town or something, whatever.
No, they're so fun.
But I want to because I want to watch you DJ.
I know. Well, I'll DJ other stuff too. But yeah, I literally because actually I started to learn how to DJ those 2 months in between me starting at Aloe and like quitting Dispo. And then I started full-time job, so I completely stopped it. But I had like downloaded the software and I
have
downloaded
like
stuff. I bought
turntables
one.
and
Yeah,
shit?
now I do.
Wait, I want to come play.
I know. And so but then I like kind of got back into it because I was like, I really want to learn. Like, I want to do this. It's so fun. And I kind of bamboozled my way into like my first gig. And then after that, I was like, okay, I really got to get serious about this now.
But this is
like,
amazing.
I have to, if I'm getting booked for stuff or like people are asking me to DJ like their birthday parties, like I got to learn.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely
you should
still
DJ one
not.
of David's parties.
I know.
Yeah.
I haven't yet. No, I haven't done David's yet.
You totally should.
But I'm definitely not like a pro yet by any means. But I always say like 90% of DJing is just like picking the right music and knowing how to read a crowd.
Yeah, reading the vibe.
So like, sure, my transitions, definitely not 10 out of 10. But the 2 songs that you're listening to, one before and one after, are great songs and you're going to dance and you're going to have fun.
Is it a lot harder than people think, or is it like anyone can do it?
It's easy to do the basics,
Yeah.
it's hard to become really good.
Okay.
Like when you go, it's also like I realize now when I go to parties, I listen so much more to like what the DJ's doing.
Really?
But for a lot of times when you're at a party, like you're not listening to the transition. You're not listening to like what's when the song's changing. You're just like, oh, I love this song. And then, oh, I love this song. Or like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't like this song. That's all you're really listening to. But you notice when you're listening to a bad DJ and when you're listening to a good one. Because like it basically sounds like, you know, you're going to Spotify next song. Or like there's like the beat is completely
cadence
different.
is off.
Or like, yeah, stuff like that. But like Isaac and a lot of the people that we work with for our parties, because we always have different DJs, are like really good DJs, which is also why I always get very nervous DJing our parties.
Really?
Oh yeah, like I DJed the last one here in LA and I opened because I was like, I'll do the first shift kind of thing, because also like they're way bigger than me. And it was great. Like people were dancing, having a great time. But then as soon as I think Madison played after me, and he's like Amine's DJ, like tour DJ, so it's like really good. And I was like, you can really hit the difference of what's going on from when I was playing to when
no one else
Madison
can.
is playing.
They're like 3 drinks in.
Yeah, but it's also just like fun. I love going to parties. I love music. Like I love dancing, and I love making people dance, because I don't know if you know this too, but like in LA, 90% of the parties are not fun.
No, they aren't.
Like
They feel like events. They're
Yeah.
so boring.
people don't dance. People don't actually have fun. They're on their phones. They're talking. They're sitting. Whatever. And like when I go out and I'm like with my friends,
dancing.
I'm dancing, even if there's no one else on the dance floor.
Yeah, same.
And so that's like what we like always strive to do, is like
I
make
love.
people dance.
So how often do you guys have the parties?
We try to have we do them now a lot around like main events. So like we did a pre-Coachella one here in LA. We just did one in Miami for F1.
Sick.
We're doing one in New York this summer. I think the next one that I have booked for sure is in July in New York at a really cool like rooftop spot. But we do them like probably like every other month.
Okay, that's awesome.
And most of them, like our biggest like audience is in New York, because obviously that's where we started, and like that's where Isaac's main thing is. But now we've done like 3 here in LA that have been huge, and that like so many people have come to it. And it's become like more of like they know about it. People know what I Like You is and whatnot. So, and then we've done a couple in Miami, but really trying to expand like where we do them, which is good.
How do you guys make money from them?
Well, you know, we're not making that much money, but we do have.
There's a lot of like collaboration.
Yeah, we'll depending on the venue, we'll make, you know, money off the bar tab, or like how many, because that's why we also started them when we first started during the week, because it was easy to get venues to agree to like not doing a fee, because it's like, well, look, we're about to bring you 400 people that you wouldn't have on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And then like once they hit their quota, then whatever they make on top of that, we make a percentage of, kind of thing.
Okay.
And
then the merch, maybe?
We have the merch, which is great, and we've started to make more and more of that, which is really fun. Like I have my cute and cunty t-shirt. I should have worn it today. That did really well. People love that one. And then partnership sponsors, you know.
Epic.
It's always great to work with brands on stuff like this, but obviously also want it to align with like our brand. Like we wouldn't take something that like doesn't really make sense for us. But I mean, again, it's one of those things where I'm putting so much work into it because I believe that it can be something so big.
Oh, totally.
So it's okay if we're not making like so much money off of it right now, and it's not like this major thing, but I do think it will become it, and it has the potential to be it. So the more work you put into it at the beginning, the better it will be at the end.
This concept is so fascinating to me, and I'm drawn to it. 1, because I think the branding's really good, but 2, I feel like when people graduate college, it's like this weird concept because everyone's moving to new cities.
Yeah.
It's hard to meet friends as an adult, and you're no longer in your frat or sorority or sports team, or you don't have your classmates or your dorm people. You know, like in college, it's like camp.
It's so easy.
Like,
yeah.
There's so many, like you have so many people in passing you see on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Whereas in real life, you don't. It's like, I see you at Whole Foods, you're hot. Like my only time to ask for your number is like right now at Whole Foods, or else
like,
I'm never going to see you again.
Yeah,
right?
True.
So with this, it's so fascinating to me because it's kind of like the adult version of joining like Greek life.
No, for sure.
But in like the best adult, more like less.
We also like love to promote
Crazy
like
wet.
people like meeting at an I Like You party, making out an I Like You party. Like it's the perfect place.
No, totally.
Yeah,
and
no.
it's fun to. I don't know. You know, there's going to be like other fun, like-minded people.
It's
there.
honestly an easy way now too, because like our stickers and like pop sockets and like tote bags. Like if you go to New York, you will see them. Like the stickers are everywhere,
That's
but it's also
epic.
one of those things that like if you see someone with like an I Like You sticker on their phone, you're like, oh, like I know that, or like have you been to a party? And it's like you start a conversation with that.
So true. You guys should do
we're
like
just
a
bringing people
Halloween
together.
one or something.
We did a Halloween one in New York last year. That was fun. I wasn't there for that one actually, but that was really big as a like PhD, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
But it was so
I'm very
fun.
impressed.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to go to the next one.
I know you have
hopefully,
to. You
in
have to.
LA.
It'll be really fun.
Okay, amazing. Okay, I want to talk about now you're like jet setting to the Bahamas. What the heck is this?
Yeah.
I'm
So
living vicariously through all your stories.
obviously, one of the amazing things of me now doing my own thing and being freelance
Yeah.
is that I can kind of make my own schedule. Don't need to like ask
Catch a
anyone
PJ here
to
and there.
Yeah, exactly. I am more free. I can work from wherever.
Yeah.
But no, it's been super fun. Our good friend Corinna goes like pretty often, and she like streams out there. And so she had asked us to come. Like me, the first trip we went on was me, Reggie, Taylor, and Jess,
Which is such a fun crew, by
it
the
was
way.
so fun. And Corinna is just like the most generous and amazing person ever. And she had kind of invited us because Reggie works for her, and she was like,
Oh, I
like,
literally want to be here.
I have space in like at the house. Like, do you guys want to come? We're like, oh my god, like this seems crazy, but yeah. And literally
How
when it
could you
first
say
happened,
no?
I was like, I can't say no to this. But in my head, I was like, oh, I'm stressed. Like I have to leave. I have to do this. And I was like, no. I
Like, I
can't say no
can't-
to
yeah.
this. It's an amazing opportunity. So yeah, we kind of went. It was so fun. She has
Why
a
does
really
she
good group
stream
of
there?
friends. Because she works with Stake, which is like a gambling platform.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and so most of the times you do it when you're like not in the U.S. And she also just loves to travel. So she's always gone.
Isn't the Bahamas like the best place ever?
No, it's like one of the most amazing like water and beaches I've ever seen.
Oh, it's bananas.
I don't know how more people haven't talked to me about it. Like people always bring up like Hawaii and like
No.
Turks and Caicos and stuff. I'm
Bahamas
like, no,
is the best.
Bahamas, stunning.
So funny enough, my parents, you know how my mom's from Canada,
Yeah.
my dad's from Indiana. They met at a blackjack table in the Bahamas.
No way.
Yeah.
Wait, that's really
So maybe
crazy.
Corinna will find her man's at a blackjack,
At a blackjack table. Yeah, maybe.
in the Bahamas. Yeah.
No, that's crazy. I love
know.
that. That's a really cute story
Isn't that
too.
wild?
Yeah.
So ever since that happened, basically I grew up, we would always go to vacations there because
It's like they're-
it's cute. Yeah. They're divorced now.
Okay, whatever.
But like, yeah, it's,
At the time.
it's the coolest place.
So cool.
And
No,
so easy to get to. The people are so nice.
truly stunning. And I think like I guess from LA it's not the closest, but like from the East Coast,
Oh yeah,
it's so like it's a 1 hour flight from Florida.
I know. It's
And
unreal.
like even from New York, it's not far at all. But yeah, so it's been so amazing to be able to do that. And like, because I'm free, like I'll work from there during the day, but then like, we're on the beach, we're chilling, we're cooking, having fun, we're streaming. So it's been really crazy to do that. And I do feel like my life is pretty insane. It looks insane from like social media because it's like this bitch is in the Bahamas
No, it's
every
insane.
other day.
That's
like
wild.
all my friends are like, what's going on? Like, is your residence in the Bahamas? Like, are you trying to do something weird here? What's sketchy? I'm like, no, I just genuinely have been able to travel, and I can't say no to that.
Yeah. Oh,
It's an amazing
Corinna asked
experience.
me, I would be there in a second.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's so funny too because now I feel like it's like, oh, we're going to Erewhon. It's like, oh, we're going to the Bahamas. Like that's like it's like that's how like casual it is. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to get gas. No, but like, I'm going to the Bahamas.
Yeah, no, I go to the
It's
Bahamas.
just a part of the routine.
It's part of the
now.
routine now. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Are you guys going to the Bahamas again soon? I know you just got back.
Not that I know of, not
Okay.
yet. But mostly they also do happen very like 3 days
Random.
before.
Okay.
But no, I do have a lot of travel coming up.
Really?
which-
Where are you going?
I'm going to New York in like 2 weeks because I have a bachelorette.
Fun.
The bachelorette's actually in like Rehoboth, but I'm going to New York for a couple of days before, and then I'm driving up with all my friends. Then I come back here. I'm here for a couple of weeks, and then I go to Italy. I go back to Rome because I have a wedding, but then I also have my high school reunion. Which I'm
What?
so
How many
excited.
years?
10 years.
How old
I
are
know. 27.
Okay. 27. Wow, that's a great age.
Yeah.
27 is a great age.
Really?
I feel like that's like such a
Okay, I hope
fun
so.
number.
I'm hoping
I
that
hope.
27 will be a good year for me.
Oh, for sure. When's your birthday?
February. I just turned 27. February 28th.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You're gonna have a great year.
I'm hoping so.
Okay, so I'm going to Italy in 2 weeks.
What?
Yeah, I'm going to Florence for a wedding. Do you
hell
have
are you
any like
staying
life
for?
hacks or like recommendations?
Oh my God, wait.
I'm so excited. It's my first time.
You've never been to Italy? You've
No.
never been to Florence? Italy
I've
in
never been
general?
to Italy.
Oh, bitch, you have to stay and go around. then.
Really?
Yeah, you can't just go to Italy and just go to Florence.
Okay, where should I go?
Like Florence is great, but it's also like small. Like you don't need more than a couple of days there, anyways.
Okay.
And if you're there for a wedding, like obviously you have stuff to do. But once you're there, like you should go like, even explore more of Tuscany. Like go to the beach in Tuscany. You can go to Naples. You can go
I'm
down
going
to
to
Rome
Naples too, I think.
Okay, you gotta go to Rome.
Okay, I'll go to. Okay,
You cannot go to Rome.
I know. Okay.
Rome is the best.
Okay.
But it'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. And like my high school graduating class is super small.
That'll
so
be
we're
so
doing like a
fun.
dinner, but then we're going on like a 1-night trip. Like we got a really big villa that we're all going to stay
Wait,
at.
this is like the most fun.
I know.
How many people graduated?
Like 60.
60?
It was a small, because it was like an international school.
Okay. I was gonna say,
And
so you're really tight knit with all of them.
Yeah, because our graduating class was like 60 people, but I think coming to the reunion is like 40 something.
Wait, that's so fun.
And like I'm still friends with so many. Like I talk to like a lot of like.
I wish you vlogged.
I know I should.
And you like
just
vlog
vlog the experience.
Yeah, you should. Or on TikTok at least.
I know. I definitely need to make a
Cupcake,
TikTok
the house
something.
on boots.
Yeah. I definitely need to make something out of it because I think
should.
it's gonna be so. I want to make those TikToks where it's like they show the high school, the
Yes!
yearbook picture and then them
You
now.
need to.
I need to do that obviously.
That is so fun.
Even though so many of my friends from high school like are so confused by what I do.
I feel like we all are.
Yeah.
But like it's okay.
But like in general,
You're a
like
little aloof.
even
It's
this
a little-
world though, like a lot of them are like, what the hell? It's like they don't get it.
Oh my gosh, me trying to explain to my hometown friends what I do.
Yeah, they're like, what? I don't
But
understand.
it's okay.
Yeah.
They don't have to get it.
They don't have to get it. But no, it's super exciting. Then I have a wedding.
Are
and
you
I'm back.
going to, rekindle some, high school love? or
Honestly,
anything?
probably. Like
Really?
I do honestly like I don't do well here in LA.
Neither do I. I
Don't
need
make
to
me-
Amazon Prime someone from
I
somewhere
need
else.
same.
Here.
But anytime I leave,
I fell in love.
I've been here for I've been single for almost 4 years now, like 3.5 years or something. And I haven't even had I've had maybe 2 flings, like real flings. Like
Yeah.
I've hooked up with people like there and here and there,
Yeah.
but like LA sucks
It does.
for dating, for men, for whatever.
Okay, I want to talk about this because I completely agree.
Yeah. But
But
when
you're
I go,
such a catch. Like I'm like anywhere else you would be wiped up. I
thank
feel.
you for saying that. I'd like to think so too, but clearly not here.
I have never met more hot, single, successful,
Bro,
cool,
same.
smart girls that are just the most single.
No.
And not because they necessarily want to be. It's just
No.
because there's no good options.
No good. Like I truly am shook when I go out with even my girlfriends. Like they're all hot, like good
the
looking
hottest
girls,
people ever.
smart girls. It's not even we don't even get approached,
It's weird.
or if we do, it's like
it's like
no. But yeah, it's insane, and I always try to see the not the positive, but try to be optimistic and be
Me too.
I also will say I blame our world for
I
it.
agree.
We go to the same places a lot. We hang out with the same people
it's
a
too
lot.
much of a bubble.
It's too much of a bubble because my favorite way to meet people is friend of a friend or through someone. But I feel like I already know the outskirts of our circle too well that there's no one that I'm eh. But I've told my friends and I've started to try it and do this, but go to completely different bars, completely different places,
And get
go
out of the
just
bubble.
3
Yeah.
of us,
Yes,
and
not
just
the whole crew.
no, because when we go on 10 people,
Then you're
50
you stay with them.
Yeah,
and
but
it's hard to approach when you're with 10 people.
exactly. But if it's 2, 3 of you and you
Yeah.
go to a different
Honestly,
bar,
2 girls, you and one other girl.
Exactly.
That's the most approachable.
and then you can talk to people, meet new people, because I love meeting new people, and I truly feel like it's so hard when it's not in this stupid bubble.
Maybe we need to go to the west side and
I
we'll
know,
just go to a
or
bar
the east side.
and-
I love the east side.
Okay, I'm a
We gotta
downtown
go.
girly.
Okay, we're
so
gonna do
I'm-
this.
Okay, I
We're gonna do
actually
this.
will.
Me and you. This is a good couple to do it with.
Because we're both. I feel like we'll talk someone's
We'll
ear
talk
off.
to anyone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
We'll be like, listen.
So
It'll be
you've had
great.
no luck with dating.
No.
Are you on the apps?
Yes, all of them. Well, actually, I will say, I've never been a fan of the apps. I'm on Hinge and Raya. I haven't opened Hinged in months because I don't know. I have never found anything from it. Raya, I mostly use for entertainment.
Me.
I've removed every single age restriction just so I can see whoever's on there.
Wait, I'm gonna do that.
No, it's so fun. Because then at least you see everyone. And then I'll like people just to see if I match with them. And even when I have matched, because I don't want to say this and I'm treating it as a joke, but even when I match with something, nothing happens. So it really doesn't matter.
You know what's crazy? Unpopular opinion. I've gone on more dates from Raya than I have Hinge.
Really?
Isn't that wild?
I've never gone on one. I've actually gone on one date from Ryan. It was absolutely terrible. Never again.
I mean, were they the best dates of my life? No, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I will say, actually, it's now happened to me twice that I haven't done anything from Ryan, but I bumped into a guy who recognized me because we had matched on Red, but nothing had happened. But because of that connection, we talked in person.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, it did something.
You know what? I actually don't hate that.
Yeah, because he was like, oh, I remember it was this guy, and we like bumped into each other. We both were like, why do I know you? And then we kind of walked away, and then I like walked back, and he was like, why do I? And I still hadn't figured it out. I think he had figured it out, but made up something else. And was like, oh, are you friends with? And like said one of my friends. And I was like, oh,
good
yeah.
save.
Yeah, good save. And then as I walked away, I was like, nope, I know him from Raya. And then another time I was outside a club. Honestly, I feel bad for this guy. I'm outside like the bar or whatever. And this guy comes up to me and he goes, Raya. And I go, Ella? Like he gave me no context. He just goes, Raya.
Sounds like a name.
I was like, Ella. He goes, no, like Raya.
No, but
and
like
I was
Raya.
like, no, but like, what are you saying? Like, my name is Ella. Are you good? And he was like, oh no, like I know you from Raya. And I was like, oh, well. And I made fun of him. I was like, that's a really weird way to approach someone, my dude. Like, like at least say, hey, how's it going?
Going up to random guys in the bar. I'm like, Hinge,
Tinder, Raya,
Bumble.
Like, come on, you gotta give me something before you say that.
That's hilarious.
Which was really funny. But yeah, so I guess it does that. Like it puts you on the map maybe for people to see you, but otherwise, no, it sucks. And I'm a very big person of like meeting in person because I also don't think I have a type. I think I go completely based off like vibes and personality, which is also why I don't like the apps.
What are you looking for?
Now, love.
Okay, so you want a boyfriend?
Yeah, now I do.
I want a boyfriend right now.
I've been single for like enough time now, and I've had so much fun. I love being single. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love my being independent.
Same.
I love doing whatever the fuck I want. Like, you know.
Well, there's nothing wrong with wanting like companionship and a
Exactly.
partnership.
But I think now I'm just like, I'd love someone to like share something with and like hang out with and like go do the things that I like to do with and you know.
Okay, we deadass need to go to a bar by ourselves.
We should go to like a really nice hotel bar or something.
should.
But then again, then you'll meet people that are visiting, and that's probably where we'll find them because we like people that aren't from here.
I'll get on a flight.
I know, let's go. Well, that's the thing though. Like even when I go to New York, like people say New York is hard too, which it is. But I think New York is way better than LA because it's so much easier to meet people. Because it's also just like the walking, the bars. Like I don't know, it's just better. But like when I go to New York, I meet more guys than I do here.
Oh, it's crazy. Anytime I go anywhere, I like suddenly have a boyfriend.
No, literally, I do. Like since I last went to New York, I was like, oh, I basically have.
And then I'm like, maybe I am cute. No,
I
come back to LA.
I know someone does want to hang out with me.
It's for a real thing.
No, that's why when you like the initial question started because you were like, oh, when you go back home, because when I go back to Rome, I'm like, okay, I could kind of pull here.
Oh.
I could pull in New York. I could pull here. Just in LA, no.
Anywhere else, I'm like 11 out of 10.
I know.
In LA,
But this is the thing.
I feel like
it's
a 2 out of 10.
But it's not. Like when people are like, oh, they're you know like a LA 6 and then Kentucky 10 or whatever the cities are. It's like no. We're talking about like LA 10s. Like you're an LA 10, but when you go to somewhere else, the 10 just like means more there. I think maybe that's what it is. There's too many 10s here. Of girls, not guys.
Yeah, there's too many hot girls. I think also another red flag, I guess, about LA is I know I have a lot of guy friends and they're great, but I'm like, where are your guy friends you would set me up with? I'm like, where are they?
Yeah.
And they're always like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why it's so hard.
I've been trying to rack my brain for it. I'm telling you.
Okay. So you dabble in the apps, but nothing crazy has happened.
Nothing crazy in the apps. I definitely love meeting people in person. Like,
we need to go to the JW by Staples Center or by Crypto. That's where all the players stay.
oh well, you know I love an athlete.
Me too.
You love an athlete too. We have different sports though, which is great.
Yeah. Wait, what are you? What kind of sport do
I
you
like basketball, soccer, tennis, like stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, I like football.
You like football,
basketball.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Good.
Love it. We're just trying to be wags.
Yeah. You cannot tell me we wouldn't look cute on the sidelines.
Yeah, come on.
Come
Great
on.
wags.
Okay, I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I think that would be fairly
So you
fun.
might rekindle something in Italy.
No, I probably won't rekindle. I mean, I don't know. I always like kind of make a mess when I go home in a good way. I'm always like, because I'm like, oh, I'm here for 2 weeks.
To leave your mark.
And I'm like, peace out. This is your problem now, kind of thing. But no, I haven't had a Rome flame in a while. Mm-hmm. But I also just like, I have all my like old friends that I just want to see. But I am excited because the wedding that I'm going to, I will say I was slightly offended by this when she initially told me, but now I'm like excited. She got engaged like 2 years ago, whatever, started organizing their wedding. And she told me, she goes, I really hope you're single for my wedding because it's going to be so fun for single people. And I was like, well, that's not like, I don't really want that for me, because this was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, so you're wishing singleness upon me so that I'll have fun at your wedding?
Yeah.
I was like, don't you want me to bring a date?
You're like, what?
So maybe that's why I was cursed by that. She's just been wishing that upon
Maybe you
me.
need to get through the wedding. Yeah.
But I am excited for the wedding because I also think weddings are great places.
I met a man at a wedding.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's good.
It was an international wedding.
Oh, so you have a boyfriend?
No. No.
Okay, no, I get it.
But weddings.
Weddings, depending
Love's
on,
in the air.
and it's like, it's a great place where people are connected. Like this wedding,
Right.
I'll know a lot of people there, but
They're not in your bubble.
I don't know their groom's side at all. So like those will be completely
That's what I'm
new
saying.
people.
The groom side.
Yeah, but like it's in Italy, so like I also will have like a lot of my like friends from there.
Okay, I need immediate play-by-play
I
updates
know.
when you're there.
I also will say that my ex-boyfriend will be there,
okay, but that's like adds
but
to
we're
the fun.
also really close friends now.
Okay,
so it's
you
fine.
wouldn't rekindle that?
Probably not
Okay.
yet.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Okay. Wait, I'm so excited.
Yeah, no.
Okay, maybe the Italy weddings are like
But
good news for us.
I know. I think this could be fun. I
Okay.
mean, I don't know
put it
about
out
you,
there.
but I have like 5 weddings coming
Oh,
up.
I think I have 7 weddings this year. 6 or 7.
It's insane.
Well, I'm manifesting this Italy wedding.
Yeah, for you too.
Thank you.
I think it's gonna be a good summer for us.
I think it is. It's gonna be wife up girl summer.
Wife up girl
Wifey
summer.
girl summer.
We're here for it. We're here for it.
I'm excited. Well, this podcast is called Making Moves. So I
Yes.
guess I want to know, what are you doing to make moves in your life currently, Ella?
I am making so many moves in the hopes that like a lot of the moves will stick. I think is what is
Okay.
right now. Like I think I don't think I'm spreading myself too thin yet, which is good, and I want to like keep it that way. But I'm making so many moves in different directions that could have very different outcomes because I'm interested in all of them. But I think that because I don't know what I want, my like I don't have a 5-year plan by any means. But I think by doing all these different things, I'm getting closer to figuring out what I want to do in life, like in the long term. So like, whether it's my agency, whether it's DJing, whether it's, creating content or, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make as many moves as I can, also to keep myself busy and like concentrated and, creative, to do the best that I can do. And like really, I don't know why I just randomly lost my voice.
No, you're.
I was like, I had a voice 5 minutes ago.
The power went out
instead of my voice. But yeah, just to like really, because my one goal, I will say, in making my moves is to be my own boss. Like,
Okay.
my goal
Which
is
you are.
it is right now, yes. But my goal is like hopefully never go back to corporate.
Is there, out of all of those things that you have your hand in, or I guess feet in right now, what is priority for you right now?
Right now, it's the agency and my like persona. I'd say like building my
Personal brand?
personal brand. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Building my personal brand. So that falls into the DJing stuff. It falls into the content stuff. Like I do some influencer stuff myself. Like I manage myself. I'm on my own roster. And so like doing that kind of stuff to really like build myself up. Like I've never had a what is the word? Why can't I speak English now? Like when you look up to someone.
A mentor?
Yes, but also
Inspiration?
Yeah. Like I've never really had a mentor or like been so inspired by someone to be like, I want to be like them.
That's good though.
It is good, but it also I think has been hard because like I think for a lot of people, like especially in like the corporate world or in like more standard jobs, it's easy to be like, okay, I want to be like the VP or like I want to be like that person. I've never found someone who I want to be like.
Because your job doesn't exist yet.
Totally. So I think it's getting to that point and like figuring that out by making my moves.
I love that. You know what content of yours that is my favorite?
Yeah.
It's you doing your outfit videos.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh my God, thank you.
You have such great style.
Thank you.
And it's so creative, and I don't know. I feel like I'm guilty of this. Like I'm like, oh, I saw this on Instagram. It's cute. I'm gonna buy it and wear it and then talk about it. You really have personal style.
Thank you.
So you should really, I feel like, hone in on that. Like do more outfit videos.
And I do love that. Like I love the like fashion and beauty side of stuff. My thing I will say, and it kind of is why I think it's a bit harder, is my style is like my closet is now, I would say, almost like 85% thrifted. which is great for my personal style. Like that's why I think I like managed to like find really unique things and like make really cool outfits. But like on the internet, like because a lot of showing outfit videos is like helping other people with inspiration or like helping them find something. But people always be like, oh, where are your pants from? And I'm like,
thrifted.
I bought them for $5
You're still
at the thrift
giving
store.
inspiration.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Or like you're like this baggy pant goes really well with this
Totally.
baggy. It's
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
No, and I love doing that.
I live the little pink set you wore the other.
Oh my God,
I
thank
was
you.
like, save.
That is really your style too.
It's so
you would style it so
cute.
differently
I
than me,
would.
but it would look so cute on you.
Where's that from? Did you thrift that?
That one actually, no, it's from a brand called Cezanne. They like sent it to me. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out.
I know.
I
And that's
need
the
it.
other thing too. Like this you know this, like this world is like so oversaturated with like creators and brands, and like I also like have too much stuff, and I've been really trying to be better at getting rid of stuff. That when I like get asked for like if someone wants to gift me something or like a brand wants to send me, I generally like won't say yes unless I really think it's my style or like that I'll actually wear it, because one, I don't want to waste their time. I don't want to like have something and then throw it away or donate it or something. So I really have I've tried to become way more particular about like the things that the brands I work with or the gifting that I get or like the sweet gifting suites that we go to. Like I don't want to take stuff just for the sake of taking stuff.
Yeah.
Like I really want it to like make sense for me. And like when I saw that like set, the pink set, I was like, I mean, this isn't technically my style, but I really think it could look cool.
Well, I was gonna say that's the that's what's so cool about getting gifting in general is it allows me to play with style without taking the risk of spending like $300 on whatever, which I know is a huge privilege, but it really does allow you to experiment. But also there was a time where I was like, would I buy this? Like, do you know what I mean? I was like, is this me? Which of course, like who's not going to take stuff at a gifting suite, especially when you're first starting out, you're like so excited.
Yeah,
I'll take all the clothes I could get. But it allows you to try stuff I normally wouldn't, which I love.
No, same. That's what I'm saying. Like,
but the pink was so cute.
If I'd seen that in a store, though, like I don't know if I would have ever picked it up. But like seeing it as like an option of something, I was like, oh, like, this is actually pretty cool, and I loved it.
No, I'm pretty sure I saved it. I was like, I need this.
You do need it. You do need it.
Okay, well, pimp yourself out. Where can everyone follow you?
Pimp myself out. Okay, at Ella Priya on basically everything: Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. And yeah.
And what about the I like you?
And I like you is just at I like you. We have Instagram or TikTok is Isaac's TikTok, but mostly Instagram. We post all our parties there. So if you want to come to a party, follow it. You'll keep up to date.
Okay, amazing.
We're making new t-shirts. We've made a new cute and cunty t-shirt in red.
Oh, I love it.
I need go around with your red lip.
Yeah, I need that.
You need that? I gotta give you one.
Wait, what about are you allowed to say, are you taking on new creators or anything like that?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
we're always taking on new creators. You know, I love talking to people and like seeing what their goals are, what their and like helping them with their strategy. You know, we're always looking to sign more people. We work exclusively or non-exclusively with a lot of content creators. So if you do need help with stuff, always happy to. And
should I DM or how did?
Yeah, okay. You can email or DM. The account is Shala NYC, and my email is ella@shala.nyc. And yeah, no, that's always a great thing. Same for brands. We help a lot of brands with stuff. So if you guys need help with any influencer partnerships, campaigns.
Amazing.
And,
or if you're just a hot guy and want to slide in the
or if you're a hot guy, you know, maybe you have an American passport. You're single.
And an American Express.
Yeah, an American Express, and you're really cute. We would love that. But no, it's okay because me and Tika are going to find love this summer.
Yeah, we are. We're going to be wing women for each other.
Exactly.
I can't wait. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I absolutely adore you.
Thank you so much. This was so fun.
So fun. And everyone go follow Ella and be sure to make someone's day this week. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.